In today's video, we're going to focus on a how-to guide for DIYing the Douro wine valley. This one is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to be mostly behind the camera, but explaining how things are happening. And then Rebecca and Kelly are going to be the guides for tasting the wine and sampling and sharing all of their wealth of knowledge about wines and wineries and vintages. So I can already see the excitement in their faces on the other side of the seat. Starting off this morning, we took the train from central Porto, which left from São Bento station, and it was about 11 euros or so for a return trip out to Pinhão, and that's going to be the area that we focus on today. I know that the trains is really a less common way to approach this activity. Most folks are either booking a full guided tour via car that leaves from Porto, or a lot of folks drive their own car and maybe stay for a couple days. So hopefully this helps you if you're planning your own trip to the Douro Valley. The train ride to Pinhão is about 2.5 hours, so it's a little bit longer, but the views are supposedly worth it. So that's one of the advantages to going with the train option compared to maybe a self-drive or going with the tour. Upon exiting the train at Pinhão, there's a few stops that are definitely within walking distance. We're going to start off here at Quinta do Bonfim, but otherwise, if you don't want to walk, you could taxi to some of the nearby areas as well. I'm also going to maybe give the rideshare apps a try, either Bolt or Uber, but I'm not sure we're really going to get anybody out here with that. Excited to introduce you to our wine influencers for the day. Number one is, of course, Rebecca. Rebecca, tell us a little bit about yourself.
What would you like to know?
First question is, tell us your experience drinking wine.
I have some experience drinking wine. Probably had a sip or two when I was younger and hated it by far. Then I moved into sweet Moscatos when I was 21-ish. Moved quickly away from those, and now I'm more of a red kind of girl. I also had some experience in Illinois at some of the vineyards there.
Oh, Illinois is definitely a top destination for wine, so I think you have a lot to expect here. All right, thanks, Rebecca. We'll see guest number two here. We have wine connoisseur number two here, Kelly Finley. And Kelly, how long would you say that you have been consuming wine? What can our viewers look forward to here?
Legally been drinking wine since I was 21. Probably studied in the Catholic Church every Sunday. And quickly find out I was allergic to white wine, so I'm also a red wine connoisseur.
So you're really just going to get one half of the grape here, I think, and Kelly's feedback. But I think we have a lot to look forward to. We're going to get some real insights and knowledge for you here, tell you all about the wineries of the Douro Valley region. Let's get started.
The Douro Valley, where we're at today, is one of the oldest wine regions in the world and follows the Douro River through some mountainous regions. So it's also the largest mountainous region for producing wine. I think they mostly are known for producing port, which is not something this group is too familiar with, but they also have some table wine here, so we're excited to see what we get into today. You have a few options when you're visiting Quinta do Bonfim, and one of them is a tour, but it's not until 3 o'clock, so this is our first stop of the day, so we'll not be doing that on this venture, but you can also do some different tastings, so you can order by the glass. They have, looks like only wine flights. I didn't see any port flights here. Or you can also do a self-guided walking tour of the vineyard. So we're probably going to do the tasting here with some glasses, and then we'll head over and walk around the vineyard on our own.
At this first stop, we got 2 glasses of wine and 2 ports. So a little self-flight of wine here. And all the wine glasses are about 4 to 5 euros each, and the port glasses.
I'm going to insult people by talking about this wine. It's unbarreled, I know that. So it does taste like the inside of a stainless steel water bottle. Do you ever know that taste? That feels insulting. It was good. It's more like vinegary too. So fish and chips, vinegar. Feels like it'd go with fish and chips.
The port wine kind of acts like you're eating one of those gushers, and once you drink it, it like explodes over your entire mouth and coats it.
What would you eat it with?
The wine or the gushers?
Wine.
Eat it with gushers, obviously. Great pairing.
Venturing now on our vineyard walk. They do have 3 options here ranging from 15 to 90 minutes. We're gonna check out some of the vines here just because the views on the hillside are really, really nice. I told Rebecca I'm not convinced we've ever been to a winery where they actually have grapes on the vine. Obviously we're post-season right now since it's mid-November, but even then the scenery is 10 out of 10.
It is interesting that some of the land that they deemed wasn't really great for the vines, for grapes, actually is used for olives now. So back in the hill behind me, they have a ton of olive trees, and they also produce those here.
Instantly proven wrong, we found some grapes on the vine. They just look like nice little wine grapes, just like you see on the labels. They do not look like the grapes you find at the grocery store. It's nice that they offer this vineyard walk. I think this, combined with just the information they share while you're doing the tasting, kind of proves to be its own tour too. So I'm not too hurt that we missed the one, even though I'm sure there would have been some nice extra knowledge. Quick walk back into town for lunch. We're here at Cardámio dos Presuntos, Portuguese tapas spot right here in the center of town.
This one you can really taste the notes of, just kidding.
It's good. It's one. Oh.
There are a few wineries within walking distance, but otherwise it's a little bumpy. Otherwise there's a taxi stand in town, and they are metered taxis, so you can hop in one of those to go out to your destination. We're making our way a little bit further away from the town of Pinhão right now.
We started down by the train station, and now we're like up on top. So you have amazing views of the entire valley. You can see the river and all the different vineyards.
Quinta de Secho is our wine stop number 2, and here they actually produce the wine for Sandemans, which is one of the cellars that we saw actually in the city of Porto. And that's one of the interesting things. It looks like all of the different wineries and vineyards that are out here, they associate with corresponding cellars, lodges, houses that are located in the city of Porto. The names never align, but once you get here, you kind of start to see the advertisements for it.
Here at this vineyard, we decided to do the tour, so we're going to learn a lot more about the history of Porto and the Douro region and how they make all of these different wines. So far, we've learned how they pick the grapes and bring them up to weigh them and decide which ones are the good ones, which ones are the amazing ones, and which ones they should leave on the vine. And we also learned that they only make Douro wine here, which is red table wine, and Porto. So if you want white wine or other varieties, you have to go to elsewhere in the Douro Valley.
She also gave us a little info about this sweet symbol they have. This cloaked man, which the cloak represents Portugal, the hat represents Spain. We got a really cool look into the process itself, and she gave some really great information. Now we're on to the best part, of course, which is the tasting.
I just have to add, that was an incredible tour. I feel like I learned so much about the area and how they make port and how they make the Douro wine and the differences between the two. And it's really cool to see a place and know this is the only place you can get port is in this region.
Also, check out the view of our tasting here.
Vanilla sorbet, lemon sorbet. It has some acidity, but not too much.
We are now at the tasting portion, and we are doing the tasting for 3 different types of port. We have a white port, a ruby port, and a tawny port.
We just finished the tour and it was like really
Kelly's just here to drink wine.
yeah. Out of all the white ports that we've tasted, this one has a more of a honey aftertaste with like sweeter fruit, I would say. Not my favorite, but it's still really good. I would drink it with some ice cream, pour it on top, maybe on the little side, just vanilla. Really good.
Wow, that sounds awfully familiar from what our tour guide told us. I agree that this is the best white we've had thus far here. Moving on to the ruby. This one's really not my favorite because all I can smell is soy sauce. And I know that's wrong, but that's what I smell.
What do you smell?
Soy sauce.
No, I didn't say
Do you smell it?
what he said.
Look, they agree.
I thought we were talking about pumpkin pie and raisin bread. I don't smell soy sauce.
Do you? You do. Okay.
This is also why we call this amateur hour.
Time for the tawny. So this one's a lot lighter in color, more caramel smells. And this one, to me, it's after a long day of skiing and you go back to your chateau and sit next to the fireplace and just have a little sip of some dessert wine. This is speaking from personal experience, obviously.
We have never done that before. We do not know what a chateau is, to be honest. It's a real hot take. Another thing we learned on the bottling is that they do control the wine so that you know it comes from the right area or the grapes are coming from the right area. It does have this white sticker here, and that's how you know that it's an official Porto wine. After our wine tasting in Seisho, we actually just gave a call to our same taxi driver. He left us with a card, which was really helpful because it was like 10 minutes up the mountain. And he brought us back down close to the train here at Quinta das Carvalhos. And we're doing another tasting.
We did learn that they still practice the traditional method of stomping on grapes to produce some of their red wines here. They also have the ability to use like the robots. They have machines that will push the grapes down, but apparently they're too aggressive and can break the seeds, messing up the wine. So their really fine wines are actually still stomped by feet, which is a weird concept to get your mind around whenever you're drinking a wine, but it was very good. That's very nice. I really like to do the smell while sipping so you really get the full essence of the tawny. This is the 10-year. I feel like this is supposed to be a dessert wine, but I could see it going with like really juicy steak. It'd be a good pairing.
As I grow more and more in my expertise, I think I like the tawny better than all the rest of the ports, which is very interesting because at the start, I really liked the ruby. Still has notes of feet, you know, really good.
There's no feet in this one.
False. There's no
I never
feet.
said I was an expert.
Also, how do you know what feet taste like? Carvalhos is our last winery of the day. Thankfully, it was just across the street in this lovely bridge from the train station.
My deepest and sincere apologies to any wine connoisseurs, all of my Portuguese friends. We absolutely loved our time. Everything we had was delicious. I know we were being silly, but it truly was such a magical day.
If this is something you're interested in, hopefully we've showed you that it's very easy to do on your own. And I think in comparison to some of the tours that offer like sort of the full door-to-door experience, we were a lot more on the budget-friendly end of things. We're slowly moving out of the way of this car coming.
We had such a great time here in the Douro Valley and highly recommend taking a visit if you're visiting Porto.
Make sure to like this video if you found it helpful and subscribe to stay tuned for future adventures.